We have a growing culture here of a naturally supernatural bunch. We are mixed schools, we are mixed nationalities, we are a mixed lot of largely regular folk, a supremely relatable people. But we will see people astonished as we walk out all that God has for us. Why? Because you have been with Jesus. Because you are with Him. That's where we're going. People will take note. In fact, people are taking note of this church as one who has been with Jesus. That's where we're going. What does this mean for you personally? Well, I'm going to tell you what it means for you personally, but I'm also going to put in a little caveat that it doesn't really matter what it means for you personally because we're talking to a church today, and you're all a part of this. But I will give you a little bit of personal stuff. What does this mean for you personally? So much. There is someone who is sick in your circle of friends right now, and if you would just pray for them, they would be astonished because you have been with Jesus. Think about that. There is someone around you who's unwell right now. If you would just pray for them, they would be astonished. Or the Lord, for someone else, is trying to get through to you here about a thing. And they're speaking to you about your destiny, about your future, and it's a good one. And He's saying, I've got a good thing for you. And you're stuck on the "Nah, not me" soundtrack. Have you heard that soundtrack? Nah, not me. Nah, not me. Maybe I'm saying that to Australian nasally. I can't do it Scottish. But, nah, not me. Nah. Maybe you need to realise that, man, you are not just who you think you are. You have been with Jesus. It's time to turn off that soundtrack. If God is saying something over you, He gets to be more right than you are. That's the truest thing you'll ever hear. So the first thing is that our message is Christ. In your individual life, your message is Christ. Don't get freaked out about what you're going to say about the world in need or your workplace in need or don't get overwhelmed with the needs of the world because you have the answer. Your message is Christ, and He changes everything. People will be astonished. Here's the second thought I've got. As we go forward, we continue to be a people-centered people. A people-centered people. One of the great questions is, how do you plant a church? Answer, I don't really know, but I think what we just need to do is do what we see Jesus do. That's what we'll do. We'll do what we see Jesus doing, because we got a good record of that. Because Jesus was on the earth, and they were talking, what are you doing, Jesus? What are you doing? He says, I don't do anything except what I see the Father in heaven doing. I don't say anything except what I see the Father in heaven saying. Then I just do that. And He's a great example. So, as we plant a church, I don't really know how, but God seems to be doing it. And we just need to keep doing what Jesus would do. Can I give you an example? It's a good idea. What do you even mean, Nathan? All right, fine, I'll tell you. Luke 19, there's this great story in there. Luke 19. Jesus entered Jericho and was passing through, and a man was there, and his name was Zacchaeus. I'll call him Zach. He was a chief tax collector, and he was totally wealthy. He wanted to see who Jesus was, but because he was short, he couldn't see over the crowd. So he ran ahead, climbed a sycamore fig tree to see him, and since he was coming that way, when Jesus reached the spot, he looked up. And he said to him, Zacchaeus, come down immediately. I'm going to stay at your house today. I must stay at your house today. So he came down at once and welcomed him gladly. And all the people, they saw this and they began to mutter. Because people will mutter. He's gone to the guest of a sinner. He's gone to be the guest of a sinner. Does he not know? Oh my gosh, he's gone to be the guest of a sinner. But Zacchaeus stood up and said to the Lord, Look, Lord, here and now I give half of my possessions to the poor. And if I cheated anybody out of anything, I'll pay them back 4 times the amount. And Jesus said to him, Today salvation has come to this house, because this man too is a son of Abraham. Thank you, God. For the Son of Man came to seek and save the lost. Oh man. Here's what I love. Jesus seemingly missed the politics of that situation. He seemingly missed The fact that this guy was wealthy off the backs of everybody around, illegally, exorbitantly, using extortion and bribes. He could do whatever he wanted. He had power. He had Roman guards on his side. But he wasn't a Roman, he was Jewish. So he was rorting his whole people on behalf of the guys who were taking over their land. He was not a popular guy. The politics is rough. You could feel the tension in the air. And Jesus, seemingly naive to the lot, cuts straight through and says, "Hey, dinner yours? Yeah!" He saw straight through that. He saw through the poor behaviour. He saw through the very sin. This guy who'd been bribing, he wasn't in the right, he was in the wrong. He saw through it all. He saw through it all, the subject of his love. And he just saw Zach. Now, I don't know how to plan a church. We're learning as we go. But I think we can do that. We can just do that. Our mission, in other words, our mission is people. And our story is people. Like that video? How good. That's going C3 Edinburgh viral, by the way. That's going to be, within an hour, it's going to be on the Facebook thing. That's going to be everywhere. I love that. I'm going to Australia in August to visit the churches who support us still financially with prayer very regularly. And I'm not even going to preach that. I'm just going to show that and go sit down. Our story in Edinburgh doesn't need to be a novel. It doesn't need to be a magazine article. It doesn't need to become a movie. It doesn't need to even go down to the history books. Why? Because our story is written in the lives of everybody here. That's the story. That's how things roll out. In the next few decades, that's how it goes out. And the way we reach the city isn't primarily through any program-focused thing, any market-driven strategy. The primary way that we reach this city is by focusing on all of the Zachs in our circle. Can I tell you who Zach is? Zacchaeus? It's you. You don't have it all together. I don't have it all together. By the grace of God, we've got it happening. Because he's in the inside of us. But I don't have it all together. So you're a Zacchaeus. But not only you, your neighbour, next door neighbour, is your Zacchaeus. Not only that, here's something controversial. The person you hate is a Zacchaeus, is a Zach. Your enemy. The refugee situation, they're our Zacchaeuses. The immigrant, of which, by the way, I'm one. Our Muslim community, across the way, they're Zacchaeus. They're people we see straight through it all. The gay community, it's a hot button subject, isn't it? They're our Zacchaeuses. We're all the Zachs of Edinburgh. The Zachs of Edinburgh. That's a good title for something. In case you were wondering where we stand on such issues, we stand for Christ. Our message is Christ, and we see people. Everything else come to meet up. Can I tell you something deep though? It's that seeing people for people's sake. It's that thing that makes this such a flipping healthy community. Can I say flipping?
Yes.
Okay? I won't say much. I won't. That was a little bit rude. I'm sorry. That makes this place such a healthy community, such an authentic community. It's the seed of that. Hey, I want to launch something else today. We went and developed these cards. Speaking of connecting with people in your community, you know when you're connecting with someone over a cafe table, you're chatting with someone and they're asking what you're doing, they're asking what you're doing on the weekend, or they ask on Monday what you did on the weekend, and you say church, and they say church, and you say church, and they say wow. We've got all these cards. We've got all these cards printed. They're very high quality. And what I want to do today is I want to send you home with a bunch so that when you're having those conversations and you're ending the conversation, you don't know whether you'll see them again, you can give them a card. It's very generic. It just says where we meet. But I want you to keep a couple in your purse or your wallet, in your purse string, and just so after the service, downstairs, these are going to be on tables everywhere. What I want you to do is I want you to grab a handful, because I know what you go through when you're praying with people or you're doing life with people, and I want to help you invite people to the house of God. So you're going to go home with a bunch of these, alright? It's white, so you can write your details on it, you can write your number on it in a holy way. You can tell people when meetups are happening, you can do all of that. And I want to send you home with that. So there we go, 1 year anniversary cards. There.
Thank you.
This is, like I said, this is one of those messages. So you just go on with me. So we've spoken already about being, our message is Christ in this church. And the message over your life is Christ in this church. We've just talked about how people-centered we are. And how people-centered you need to be. And if you're confused about how you're supposed to, as a Christian, relate to the people around you in this complex society right now, whether you're Brexiters or Remainers or all the Bremeners, consider this. Everyone's just people.
Yeah.
And Christ had a way of seeing straight through the whole lot to the person. And that's your true north, right there. But also, this whole thing about the people-centeredness relates not just to you and your life and how you see the world, but it relates to this community of the church. This community here at C3 Edinburgh, without you, becomes community. Because I worked that out because there's a you in community and I just took that out. Okay, fine. I tried, it didn't work. Without you, it becomes community.
Okay.
Fine. I can tell when there's an anointing and I'm just being silly. If you've been floating from church to church, if you've been hurt by church before, there's a million reasons why you would, because church is frustratingly full of humans and Zacchaeuses. But I want to put out to you in the community of church that if you've been floating, if you've been hurt, if you think sitting there during the worship in the way I'm speaking now, you go, well, this church doesn't really have it all right, has it all together, they're not perfect. I vouch for that. We're not. No church is. Welcome to church. You know when church will be perfect? Perfect. It's when Christ comes and that's when it'll be perfect because we'll have new. There's a whole thing with that. But until then, it's the grace of God. It's the Spirit of God who leads us. It's we bear with one another. We forgive one another. We love one another. We bear with one another. We have the grace to overcome. So you need to consider this. You're better off having roots down in a local church like this than you are living in a pop plant. Because a pop plant will limit your growth, and being planted will explode your growth. So choose that one. Choose any old church, good church, like this, to put your roots down in. Hey, next year, this coming year, Summer Festival's coming. It's a great opportunity. It strikes me that if you're a guest with us today, you've got this great opportunity. You've just come on 1 year anniversary party. You get to have lunch, you get to hang out, and then there's a whole meetup starting about C3 culture. That's awesome. And then there's festival where you get to know some people. It's like we made this happen just for you. We have Summer Festival coming. We relaunch after Summer Festival back in King Khalid building on September 4. We hit it big time with freshers, with all the university students coming back. This place will go next level in that time. My senior pastor who sent me over a year and a half ago, Pastor Mel, will be with us in September. C3 Europe Conference, we're all going to Frankfurt, Le Canal, you should come in September or late September. Man, we are dreaming together of meetup and new meetup groups. By the end of this calendar year, we'll have more than 2. We're dreaming of seeing more people meet Jesus in cafes, in restaurants, in homes, in flats, in classrooms, in staff rooms, in rooms all around. People are meeting Christ. This next year, we will be sitting here in 1 year's time, celebrating 2 years, and this place will be full, more full, with people who will be sharing stories on a video like that, and their stories will be more and more, I bet Christ is here. Tingles? Yes. Correct. We will continue as a church, and I'm going to close with this. As a church at C3 Edinburgh, watch, listen, take note of this. We will continue to grow in depth of of passion and fullness in Christ. In